Welcome to Racing 393. So just a quickie, we got this out. So in this video I did get the car out for a running video. During the sort of making of the beginning I wasn't sure if I had time, but as it happened it turned out that time was on my side and we get it out for a run. It's been a while. I enjoyed this one. Probably one of the most enjoyable quick half hours or so, 45 minutes of running a retro nitro that I've had in a while actually. So I just thought I'd say that at the beginning. Hope you enjoyed the video and I'll speak to you soon.
Hello race fans, sim fans, RC fans, Racing 393 here again for another RC video. Today we're going to be back on the RC10GT by Team Associated. Those of you that know the car, you know this is a truck, or a truggy if you like, very popular in its day. This particular one's, well, mainly original. I've done bits and pieces to it, as you can see. I'm not a huge fan of the truck body. There's nothing really wrong with it. It's just not my cup of tea. I've seen many of them around. They're pretty good. They look alright, and when they're going, they go well. Just I'm not a massive advocate of the sort of the truck scene, if I'm honest. So I converted this one to its rear-wheel drive, but a kind of a four-wheel drive buggy type of car, only because I prefer that shape. I did a few upgrades on the car myself. I put some different shocks on the car, which I'll talk about in a minute. A different exhaust, and as you can probably see there, I put the rear wing on a mount, hence sort of the buggy genre, if you see what I mean. But two things. So the main purpose of this video is I am going to change the gearing. I've done another video of this, and ironically I did a video but I've still yet to use it. I've got it all charged up, ready to go. I think the weather was a bit pants, so I didn't bother going out, and then other things got in the way and never got around to it. So I put a smaller spur gear. I think I have changed. I'm just going to move it around. I've got an 18 tooth pinion and a 65 tooth spur. It was alright with that. I mean, I think it had a slightly larger spur, like 68 tooth. I'm pretty sure that's fairly standard. So it's going to accelerate very quickly, but top out. It hasn't got huge amounts of top end. Not that it never did anyway. I mean, you've got to remember this particular kit is what, mid 90s maybe, off the top of my head. So what I have got, and I have been looking, it should be okay. I've got another pinion here which I'm going to install. I've got to take the engine out. Now this one is a 32, no it isn't, let me start again. 32 pitch, which is what's on the car. It's a 20 teeth pinion. It's a bit of a mouthful for some reason. And that's 18, so it's going up 2 teeth. And it's gone down 2 teeth on the spur. Like anyone would tell you, if you're going to change something on anything, we're talking about race cars, RC cars, sim racing, and you want to change a setting, do one thing at a time, so that you know it works. I never really got around to taking this car out with a slightly smaller spur gear, so I'm going to take the engine out anyway, and put this larger pinion on and then reinstall it. Shouldn't be too difficult. I'm not going to fill all the individual bits and pieces because many people don't like that. and I'm going to try my best here now and get this out sooner rather than later. I don't know whether it will be in this video. It depends how I go with this, how long it takes me, and time. So yeah, I'll probably do an update in a beginning of the video footage. I'll probably tell you then, I'll be honest, so you'll probably know by the time you get this far if I got this out. So it's a fairly straightforward engine out job. Oh, the other thing I was going to do before I forget, these are aftermarket shocks on there. They're just big buggy. I mean, I've restricted them. They're huge. I mean, they've got loads of travel. But to be honest, there was nothing really wrong with the original team associated shocks that come with the RC10GT anyway. They're actually very good. And I've got numerous of sets of those. So what I'm going to probably do, I'll have a look. I've got loads of shocks scattered around, but I'm going to probably off camera build up some shocks. Whether or not I'll restrict the shocks for ride height, I'll be honest with you, this one's a little bit too low. But if I make them soft and get it sitting lower, that's an option. I don't know yet, because where I take this car, all my cars actually, although it's a runway, it's not particularly billiard table smooth. It's got tufts of grass here and there, and you could do with some suspension movement, at least absorb some of the bumps. So that's what I'll probably do. I'm gonna sort of go back to some basics and hopefully go from there. So without further ado, I'm gonna strip the motor down and off. I'll come back to you when I've got the motor out of the chassis. And then we'll go through the next phase of installing I say a pinion, it's a clutch bell, isn't it? It's got the clutch shoes inside, isn't it, around there? So yeah, we're gonna get this apart and then I'll be right back. Here we are, the engine is now out. Wasn't too bad after all, just a systematic approach. There's more things like, connected together, probably slightly more than what an electric car would be when you've got just a motor. So yeah, got it out. It's all right, looks good. So you can see that the clutch bell, which I'll just show you, that's what's on it. 18 tooth, fairly standard, held on by a C-clip, which you can just pop off. Hoping that the bearing case, or how the bearings would go in, should be fairly standard, I think. So I'm going to take that off and then show you the clutch, and then we're going to put this one back on. Once it's on, I will mark it up, unless it's on there, but as a 20 tooth pinion, and then we're going to install it back in the car, get the mesh right, and it shouldn't take too long to get back together. And then the next job would be, hopefully, I'm going to have a look at the shocks and see where I've put all my spares. All right, let me just take the clutch bell off, and we'll have a look, make sure the clutch is all a-okay. Got the clutch bell off, looks good. There's a bearing left on the shaft there. Isn't too bad. Shoes look okay. They're not worn out, that's good. Down there we've got the clutch bell itself, the 18 teeth. 3 like shims. Yeah, so that would have been off the front. That comes off. There's like in there. There's like a little groove. Hopefully you can see that. Doesn't actually focus on what I need to focus on, but there's a groove where the C-clip, which is there, and it sort of takes up end float, if you like. So the pinion does move you know, when it's on there, it will sort of move back and forth. But you take up some of that play with those shims. So I've got 3 on there for mine. I'm assuming that that's this on here is the same size, like width. So I'm going to take it out, just compare the sizes, and then when you next see me, it will be back on the engine. There we have it. It's on. I put 20T on there, just so you can see. Hope you can see that. Also put it on the front of the end bell, clutch bell, pinion, all those names. Got 3 shims on the front there of the crank. It actually feels okay, you know, it's I put a tiny bit of bearing oil here, just to sort of on the bearings themselves, but not too much, because otherwise I don't want the shoes to slip. It's exactly the same as the one that came off, same pitch, obviously. This is 18 teeth, that one's 20. So yeah, all good. So I'm going to now put it back in the chassis, and I'll be back once that's done. Back together. That was pretty straightforward, if I'm honest. I'll put the body on now, but I've got to sort of do some more holes in the body. But I'm going to do that off camera to get it sitting right, and then change the shocks all round. Now, which I'll also do off camera. What I found out is that because the engine mount is on a slide, you know, so it's a mount that goes on the chassis, 4 screws, bolts, and the whole mount moves back and forth. It's at its extremities. But there's enough. It does move. You know, it's really freewheeling with the mesh. Diff's quite free as well on this one. Might need a rebuild, but yeah. So the pinion's 20 tooth. I can't go any bigger on its current setup. I would have to go down with the spur gear quite a way. I know you can get smaller spurs, but we've already gone down 2 teeth, 68, we're now on 65. I have seen 63, I'm pretty sure there's 62 and 1. I haven't seen any late 50s, so I'm not sure whether Team Associated on this model went down that low anyway. The stadium truck was all about short bursts of speed and jumps, so you wouldn't be flat out anyway. So I could do with a smaller spur gear, and which would move the engine just back ever so slightly. I mean, it's absolutely fine where it is, if I'm honest. And I've got some other motors which I'd like to see if they would fit. Yeah, that's just something I will have to work on. It is an aftermarket shell anyway, like buggy type shell. It's not the best looking buggy shell, if I'm honest, but it will do. It will do for now. So might just trim up the body shell. I'm going to do that off camera. I'm going to fit the standard Team Associated shock absorbers, which is going to raise the ride height, I think, a bit more. I'm going to go for a bit more ground clearance, but sitting lower with a softer shock. The fronts work alright, but these back ones, they stick. So there are a Chinese brand shock. They work alright, but I'm going to go back to the standard Team Associated all-round oil-filled shocks. But anyway, that's that for now. I will end the video here, just in case I don't get the car out. So I thank you for watching and listening. Hope you enjoyed that quick gear clutch bell change on my team associated RC10GT. Thanks very much, and I'll see you outside very soon. I'm going to try and get this out. Hopefully it will all work. I'm going to start it up at home initially just to make sure it runs, and then we're going to take it down the track or the runway on the new gearing, and we're going to get it going. We'll see how it handles with the different shocks, which will be on it once you next see the car. The body shell will be ever so slightly a little bit more trimmed, so it sits a bit better, and we'll go from there. So all in all, let's get this team associated RC10GT, we'll get it out running again. Okay, we've got it out, as you can see. Put some stickers on it, so nothing too spectacular, but looks better. The shock absorbers are put on eventually, not the standard RC10GTs. They are some American alternatives, or aluminium, that I've got from America for this car. Let it run in. It's not running perfect, but we'll give it a go. We'll start it up, just give it a little run. Haven't got a speed meter today, so it doesn't matter what speed I'm doing. Probably going to just richen it a little bit, like an 1/8, and probably run this tank, and that'll be it, because it's too hot. It's running like super fast in the idle, and I don't really want to wreck it just to give it a run. It goes well. It's only a 0.12 OS. Right, it's also wants some weight on the front. It's got no weight on the front at all. Right, let's give it another go. Wait until it runs out, really, to be honest. Well, there we have it. RC10GT with an OS 0.12 engine in it. It goes absolutely blinding. I'm going to do a bit of a tune on the engine. It's not running perfectly, but it runs okay, and then we're going to go from there. Well, that's it for now. It's very hot. It's hot. I'm hot. I'll see you on the next one when I get this out. Bit more of a tune, maybe strip it down or whatever. Hope you enjoyed it. Okay, so we got back. That was hot. Now the car went really well, but I just want to go over some bits and pieces with you that we found out. Clearly the idle was a bit intermittent. Sometimes it was okay, other times not. So yeah, maybe it just wants a bit more of a better, clearer setup with perhaps the like the throttle stop and or main jet. A combination of one of those two must be out, or it's drawing air from somewhere, which made the tick over, the idle, go up and down, because the idle was quite high. You only weaken it off, which I did. You know, you turn the high speed needle, you turn that off turned it down, and the idle went up, which is expected. I think I need some work on. I think it's more the throttle stop, because the brakes work. It doesn't cut out. It could be. I need to adjust the throttle stop and the endpoints on the servo. Yeah, that would be good. But it was running super hot. I mean, it only just started. It was like red hot. You couldn't even touch the header. Even when I was blocking the exhaust, turn it off, it was freaking hot. But it did go well. I had. Let me just turn the car around. I had different gearing. So my 20-tooth pinion and a 65 spur. Incidentally, I do have a 58-tooth spur, so that's the option. One of the problems that did happen though is my spur gear must have caught. Let me see if I can move it. So there, just with my thumb, you see that there? So that's chewed, but it's got a perfect mesh. It must have been a stone. I believe there's another bit as well. Don't know, maybe there, the top, just above my thumb. Not sure it's the same bit actually, but that was a problem. It is very close at the bottom there, but it is 65 tooth. The standard 68, so it is always going to run close. But if it gets a bit of debris in there or something, or underneath, I mean, end of the day it's going that way, so if anything comes up into the chassis and gets caught, a bit of stone, or not even a stone, a bit of wood, it's going to damage it. So that's probably the cause. It does work still. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I can still use it for now. It drunk loads of fuel, so I thought it might be running rich. So I did weaken it off. It ran really well, but it was, and then the idle went skyrocketing, which probably wanted some adjustments with the throttle stop down there. So that's something I've got to look at. But it started on the pull first time. And got along the road pretty quick, if I'm honest. It was just pulling a wheelie, but because of this rear wing, it is sort of, in realistic terms, the rear wing doesn't usually overhang that much of the wheels, so it has got a lot of torque there. The more it sort of winds up, it did lift the front off the ground, which I can put like I can buy some weights. And I could weigh it down, so it's got a bit of weight in the front, which is probably what it needs. Yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that. That was very pleasing, considering it is the original OS 1.12 engine. I normally start this with the starter box, but I tried the pull start for now, and that worked alright. So that was easier to lug around, I must admit. It's also got the automatic start-stop. Sorry, I'm talking about real stuff there. It's got automatic glow plug igniter, so it stays on for a few seconds, powered by the power there, like that sort of resistor. Probably wants a bit of work done with the servo, if I'm honest, in relation to sort of the throttle, braking. The braking, it was only on the rear wheels. The problem with these cars is you can't brake fully because it will just spin. And I noticed when I was running the car, it's only like almost like trying to simulate ABS, so it doesn't spin around. But it did handle well. It handled a lot better since these shocks have been put on there. Last time I ran this, it was on these other cheap Chinese shocks, which worked okay. But these are proper, you know, oil-filled dampers from the States, which I'll show you a close-up now. Designed for this chassis, the RC10GT. But yeah, so that does work. Well, they perhaps want to be a little bit softer at the back. The fronts are good. I sort of rake them in. I can actually, the more rake you put on the shocks, tip them in at the top, the softer they are. So the front is very good. I have got room on the back there to move the tops in with a bit of spacer, so I probably will do that. So that will soften the springs up, because they're on its extremities right on the outside of the top shock mount there. But I know the shell's not on properly at the moment. So I put some after run oil in it when I got back, and Bob's your uncle. I'm personally very pleased with that. Glad I got it out. It was super hot out there, I must admit. Too hot actually to run a nitro. Literally just started it up. I couldn't even touch the header, the cooling fins. So the only option I had was to weaken it off. Sorry, the only option, not that, that's exactly, don't do that. Whatever you do, don't do that. To richen it. It seemed to make a difference. What else did I do? I put some, as you say, I put some stickers on it. Got some close up here now, so I just put some generic stickers on it. It makes it look a little bit better. I cut some extra holes in there, so I put the hole in the front there. That just had some drilled holes around there for now. I put that hole there. I was mainly thinking it was going to hit the exhaust, but to allow for some more air in. Alleviated the exhaust one at the back. Put a tuning hole in there for the carb. So I've got some other motors upstairs, you know, I can use on this. Some old-fashioned retro motors. So we're not going to be the same gearing, but we can at least see if we can get those matched up with what's already on here and give them a go. So that's the end of my RC10GT chassis with the buggy body shell on it. That's not everyone's cup of tea, I know. I didn't have a speed meter on it because I didn't have that charge, and to be honest, it's in another car and I couldn't be bothered to go and dig it out of another car and put it in here, so it wasn't really about the speed. But good. Let me know what you think. I enjoyed it. I appreciate you all watching, and we'll get it out again very soon. Thank you, and bye for now.